In the fading echoes of a confrontation that silenced guns with sheer will, Harlem's fate tied to unbreakable community bonds. One night, inside Wells' restaurant, consequences reached far beyond clattering plates and lingering smoke. They reshaped power itself. This was no simple standoff, no gamble of weapons and nerve, a precise demonstration of authority. It dismantled mob logic at its core. In that room, under hard lights and watchful eyes, brute force revealed its weakness. Hierarchy lost meaning. Loyalty became the only currency no one could steal. Bumpy Johnson didn't dominate through fear, didn't rely on reputation alone. He stood unmoved because the people around him had already chosen their side long before any gun was half drawn. Italian families later called it not defeat. Defeat invites retaliation, but realization. They had met a power immune to intimidation. This was no rule forced from above. Authority grown from the ground up, reinforced by memory, gratitude, shared survival. The ripple effects moved quietly through time. By 1952, Sal Bonano's heart failed suddenly. Official cause, natural. But among men who understood consequence, the timing was never ignored. No evidence needed. The lesson had already settled. Wells' restaurant became untouchable. No one tested it. No one challenged it. The razor lay unused that night. It became legend, not because it drew blood, but because it didn't need to. Restraint backed by loyalty was more dangerous than violence ever could be. 3 days later, the 5 families gathered in Manhattan. Tension thick, temper sharp. Joe Bonano demanded retaliation. Unchecked defiance threatened the entire structure. Harlem's numbers game, millions, could not stand outside Italian control. But Frank Costello ended the argument with one observation that reframed everything. Bumpy didn't hold Harlem. Harlem held Bumpy. Remove him, and 40,000 people would rise, not as soldiers, but as a community, shopkeepers, workers, families, an enemy without a uniform, impossible to intimidate, impossible to conquer. The meeting ended without bloodshed, but not without consequence. Strategy shifted. Aggression gave way to negotiation. Power was acknowledged, not challenged. Harlem's sovereignty over the numbers trade endured, not because it was defended with guns, but because attacking it would collapse the balance the syndicate depended on. That outcome was forged the moment Sal lowered his weapon, not out of fear, out of understanding. When Bumpy met his eyes, the message was unmistakable. Violence here would not end in victory. It would end in erasure. When Sal apologized to Mamie, her silence spoke louder than any threat. No insult needed answering, no justification offered. Weapons lowered across the room. Men backed away with the caution of those who realize too late what they stand inside. Sal muttered it was not over, a reflex, not belief. Bumpy ended the conversation without looking up, returned calmly to his meal, signaling the decision had already been made. The applause did not erupt at once. It grew, one person at a time, as realization spread. Something rare had occurred. 40 people stood, not to celebrate violence, to affirm protection. Mamie's hand tightened around Bumpy's beneath the table, warning him of the danger he had accepted. His answer was simple, final. Respect is not optional. Lose it, and everything disappears. Every person in that room understood their role. It had been written over years. The doorman whose family was helped quietly. The woman spared further harm because someone finally intervened. The young worker saved from a fabricated charge when no one else would step forward. None were ordered to stand. None were bought. They stood because loyalty had already been earned. When the slur cut through the room earlier, it had not merely insulted Bumpy, it had insulted the collective. The fork struck the plate like a warning bell. Guards tensed, fingers tightened. Gunfire seemed inevitable. Instead, Bumpy placed the razor beside his knife with deliberate calm. Explained the mistake plainly. 6 guns do not create power when the room itself is aligned against you. Rising slowly, napkin placed with ritual care. He named the people behind him not as threats, but as proof. With each name, resolve hardened. Sal counted them without being told. 40 unarmed people, 40 witnesses, 40 lives that would never forget. The choice was simple, irreversible. Sal, known as the Butcher, breaker of bodies, burner of businesses, felt something he could not fight, not fear of death, fear of having misjudged reality itself. When Bumpy said his uncle would bury him tomorrow, it was not a threat. It was a forecast. One final mercy was offered. Apologize. Leave. Carry the message. Harlem is closed. Sal accepted, because there was no alternative that did not end in disappearance. The conflict had been inevitable. Italian leadership had long resented a black man controlling a financial empire. Warnings ignored, patience dismissed. Sal sent to solve it quickly, publicly. At 8:47, Wells fell silent. Music died mid-note. Smoke hung motionless. Demands were made, refused. The insult followed. Harlem answered without firing a shot. In 1948, Harlem was no myth, no legend, no cinema. It was sovereignty exercised quietly, defended collectively. From Wells on 135th Street, Bumpy Johnson governed an empire inherited from Madame Stephanie St. Clair. Millions flowed weekly in a world that insisted black men could not rule. That night proved otherwise. Authority did not require slaughter. It required memory, discipline, the courage to stand still when everyone expected violence. If this moment of restraint, loyalty, and unspoken power resonates, follow for more chronicles of Bumpy Johnson, King of Harlem. Share with those who understand that presence can dominate a room louder than gunfire. Speak on moments where silence carried more weight than bullets. And stay tuned for further stories forged through intellect, resolve, and unwavering community. Do you want me to do that next?